Welcome into the Trevor Staub Show, episode number 53. Today we have a very special interview with Mr. Gannon Buhr, the recent winner of the Open at Austin. It's going to be a great time talking to him. We're going to talk to him all about that win, just all the things going on right now with Gannon, and let's hop right into it. All right, we welcome on our guest for the show today. Today we have the 2023 Open at Austin champion, Gannon Buhr. Thanks for joining the show, Gannon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trevor.
Absolutely. So, last season you had a lot of great finishes, top fives. You were always competing for the win. You did get the Silver Series win at Masters Cup, but it took you a while, till the end of the year to get that big win at USDGC after being, around the top of the leaderboard all year. How does it feel this year to get a win so early in the season that you can build momentum off of and just kind of have it out of the way almost?
Yeah, it takes a bunch of pressure off like future events because my goal this year was either like to get one major or like two Elite Series wins, and to already have one I already have my major win, I already have my first Elite Series win. So, that's kind of like what I've always wanted in disc golf. And now that I have, pretty much almost every event you can win, I can just build off of that. And it takes the pressure off of, when I get down to those higher pressure situations, it's not like, I'm going to lose everything if I don't win this tournament. Now it's like I already have a title. It can't, I can build off of it basically.
Right. Yeah. I think that, back in early 2010s, kind of that era in disc golf, like the best players were going into the season like, okay, I need to win like 8 times. But it's almost nice that because the field has gotten so difficult now and so strong, a 1 to 2 win season is a good season for pretty much everybody. So I feel like that kind of alleviates some of that. And like you said, getting that first win early, do you feel like now you're kind of just, you feel a little free to just attack the rest of the season and see what happens?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just mainly like when I like get on those lead cards, I perform a lot better when I play a good round one for the tournament. I feel like it's a lot easier for me to play good whenever I'm on those higher cards, those more difficult cards with better players, and they're pushing me to throw better shots. So I think as long as I'm able to get to a strong start, which is kind of what I started with last season. Last season I had a couple tournaments I did really good early, but I mainly just made a nice comeback from like chase card or third card to finish in that like 5th to 4th, 8th range. Kind of just sprinkled in those top 5s, top 10s. But I think I perform a lot better when I have cameras on me, when I have a big crowd, when the moment means a lot more. It forces me to like I'm nervous, and it forces me to like really execute the shot I'm looking at and be a little bit more precise. Where actually, like at Vegas and at Waco, I wasn't nervous at all, and I think that was an issue. I couldn't get nervous for some reason. I hated it. I tried to like speed up my breathing to make me nervous, and nothing worked. So
that's got to be the most fascinating thing I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever heard a player. Certainly a lot of people thrive in the moment. So you think it just kind of dials your focus up an extra level? Like it just kind of gets you into a different mindset you can't really find?
Yeah, for sure. It's like at the Memorial when I was making my 10-stroke comeback, when I eventually got in that kind of hot birdie streak where I birdied the whole back nine at Vista, which is a lot of people say that course is like really easy. It's not at all. I'd be happy with like 4 birdies on the back nine, honestly. To get all 9 of them, like that was my first stretch of holes that I did really good on tour. I think it was my 7th round on tour because Vegas was 4 and then the 2 earlier that week. And then for the final round, I was on that lead card in the pressure situation with the huge comeback, and I made up 9 strokes in 1 round. I was like, there's no way I'm going to lose this tournament, and ended up pushing a playoff. And when I got into that playoff, everything just felt so easy. I was really nervous, which I think helped me a bunch, but it felt like I could just literally aim where I wanted to and it'd go where I wanted it to. And kind of the same thing happened in the final round of the Open at Austin.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I missed out on those genetics, but that's pretty cool. So talking about the course, I think the course was like a very, much of a buzzword at this event because a lot of pros were not a fan of this course. There was people in the Jomez practice round talking, about it negatively. There was a lot of players making comments about it behind the scenes during press conferences. People did not like the course. At least there was a few people certainly. Now, obviously, winning the tournament probably helps your perception. But were you a fan of the course overall, or did that change throughout the event?
Well, I mean, I actually kind of liked the course. I thought it played good as in terms of scoring.
Yeah.
So it would, you know, there's lots of bogeys, lots of birdies. It make you go for hard shots. And I think there's probably maybe three bad holes, like hole one, hole six, and hole 17 weren't good, just because either they were unfair or they didn't create much scoring separation, which I'm not a fan of at all. Like if there's a hole that's just a waste, I'm like, well, why do we even have it?
Right.
There's one hole I have less to, you know, come up and charge towards the lead.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that can go for anybody. But I think what helps, I think a course always plays better in tournaments because especially like, I mean, I know me and all the boys in practice, we're throwing like 100 feet shorter than we do in tournaments. We get so gassed and we just like are ripping shots.
Yeah.
So we'll just be like so tired and you know like hole five there was like a 480 foot slightly uphill par three that you know I was having a kind of a tough time reaching in practice a little bit. And then when the tournament came around, it was like so easy. You know, it was like
Yeah.
one of the easier holes for me just because it was a good distance. So I think like, and especially like hole one, if there's no wind, is definitely like it's reachable to get to like the edge of circle one. I put one just inside the circle during round two with a forehand, which not many people did. But it was we had a good wind, but I can see a hole like that being if you have anything but a left to right wind, it's not really birdieable.
Yeah.
Um, unless you're throwing a backhand, I guess with the forehand. See, that's another weird thing too. Is like the backhand's definitely an easier shot to get there, just in terms of like how light it is on your body or how easy it is just to get the distance itself. But the
Yeah.
forehand is just so much more reliable, and that's the same reason I throw all overstable plastic, and I'm throwing everything with Anheuser out of my hand with an overstable disc, is because it finishes hard every time, and I don't have to worry about a wind gust halfway down the fairway going to flip my disc over because it's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
it almost in a way boosts my confidence. I already know what I'm doing, and if I know I'm going to land in bounds, I think I'm going to, you know, play a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I agree. I think that course offered a lot of like unique shots. I think there was a lot of holes that you don't really see super often on tour, and I thought that was kind of cool to mix in. Now, my question too is, you know, we were kind of talking about this a while back. Was you hear a lot of pros talk about courses that they don't like, or this is a bad course, bad holes. What is it like as a professional out there on tour? What is it about a course or a hole that makes the pros consider it a bad hole? Like as far as people complaining about this course, like what were people really complaining about other than just saying, well, this is bad? You know, what is it that actually makes it a bad course or a bad hole?
I don't know, maybe like because I know there's a fair amount of like U-shaped holes on that course, kind of, and
Yeah.
like maybe not maybe L-shaped, which I know some people don't like. I'm definitely not a fan of that when it comes to like a course like Northwood's Black because it's so specific where it's in a way almost a little bit unfair. I mean, you
Yeah.
can throw a perfect shot. I mean, now that Northwoods is a little more cleaned up, it's a better course. But the first we played, it was awful. Um, and I think some people don't like that part of it. Um, maybe if there's bunkers, I know, you know, I played with Eric Oakley one round. He wasn't happy, you know, just with there's just a lot of bunkers, you know, near the basket, which I actually didn't mind. I mean, the closest bunker was like 27 feet probably.
Yeah.
And, you know, as long as you err on the side of being safe, it shouldn't really come into play. Um, so like maybe weird bunkers when it comes to bad course. Sometimes it depends like if it's fluky or not. And like hole
Yeah.
17 was a pretty fluky hole. I mean, in my opinion, disc golf is like I don't know if we'll ever get to that level, but like that gap on hole 17, if you're at the corner, I'd probably hit it 1 out of 10 times. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a tight gap to where it almost, in a weird way, becomes luck based. Same how like a 60 footer in wind is all luck based, in my opinion. I mean, you can put it in the right
Right.
area to give it a higher chance, but like 1 second later, your putt's going to lift or drop. I mean, at that point, it's all kind of luck based.
Yeah.
So I think flukiness plays a bigger role in what people think on the course. The other thing would be like how it scores and like the score separation. Um, so if a hole is just like has like 10% birdies, 10% bogeys, and 80% pars, you know, nobody's getting strokes on anybody. So like
Yeah.
no matter how hard you work on the drive, you can throw a super good drive compared to someone who throws a terrible drive, and you're still getting a three. You know, you don't get any reward for throwing a slightly better tee shot. Um,
Right.
which is where those, you know, being throwing a better place tee shot on a specific par four would be, that's a reward. Um, I had one more thing. Can't think of it. Yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot my last
You're
topic, but
good.
that's all right. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that yeah, flukiness I can see, anytime there's unfairness. I think disc golf, like you kind of mentioned, there's already elements of luck and just probability in the sport, so there should never really be added components of that. Do you kind of feel? I feel like when pros a lot of times will knock a course, especially immediately. It's just because there's just new shots, but like some pros don't really, like you mentioned with the bunker thing. Yes, it can be like jarring a little bit, like, oh, that bunker's right next to the basket. But then if you just think about it and play it correctly, air to the safe side, it's not that close to the basket. Do you feel like some people just kind of get caught off guard sometimes and immediately shoot a course down when maybe they just kind of have to think about how you're attacking it?
Yeah, and that was the one other thing I'd say was like what maybe might not make a course as good is if a disc can't physically do the shot shape, which
Yeah.
we have sometimes on tour, which is, it happens with new courses and course designers trying to do new things. But yeah, the other aspect is just like if you're not playing good, you're probably gonna like the course. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with a couple guys who got really frustrated, whether they throw into a bunker long or they would just like, they just or maybe play like, I mean, I saw a lot of people play hole 17 like super aggressive, trying to get around the corner, and I was
Yeah.
just trying to get to the corner, so I had to, and then they'd be mad they're stuck in the middle of the woods because they threw a super skippy aggressive shot,
Yeah.
and I was just throwing an A2, just flex and having it land very flat, right where I wanted it to, and I only missed it one time, and then, I mean, and how I played that hole is I just went over the top on the second shot to take the gap out of play. I
Right.
never one time went through the gap. I went over every single round and it worked every single time.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was a lot of examples of places on that course where even just watching some of the practice rounds, like after the first throw, you were like, "Well, this hole is dumb. There's no way you're getting there." But as people kind of were figuring it out, clearly there was scoring to be done out there. It's not like everybody was shooting over par. Um, what do you think? You mentioned, some strategy and also kind of your disc selection, but what were some of your main keys to attacking that course and some of the things that gave you success out there?
Yeah, I just made sure to place it properly every single time. So play a little safer on tee shots in the par fours because in the last couple pro tours I've been going more aggressive on par fours and maybe throwing OB on the tee shot. And I kind of I've always been a safe player, but recently I was a little bit more aggressive just because I have been more accurate lately as I've gotten better. So I'm able to go for those more aggressive plays. But I think just always giving yourself a chance is the best way to do that and limiting bogeys. I was just talking with my friend Gavin, and he was kind of struggling with just getting a lot of bogeys. He had a good amount of birdies. I think he was like top 15 in birdie rate, but the bogeys were just killing him. And I was kind of that way at a little bit of Vegas, kind of going like birdie, birdie, bogey, par, par, birdie, bogey, like just sprinkling in bogeys everywhere where I shouldn't have, and
Yeah.
like it just makes the aggressive plays not even worth it anymore. So round one, I played a just clean 13 pars, five birdies, five down, and I was on tied for the lead. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just keeping it safe was a big thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. So coming down the stretch of the tournament, obviously you're not on the lead card. Kind of a different scenario for you. And you get to hole 18. You throw a good approach to about, I don't know, what would you say? You had a little under 30 feet or somewhere around there?
Yeah, like 20, 25. It was probably 25 footer.
Yeah, 25. So at this point, it's kind of a hot topic. I talk to a lot of players, and like some guys are latched onto the live scoring, looking at it constantly. Some players don't even know they've won until they've won. When you're getting to that putt on 18, obviously, as far as going for the green there, you kind of have to, no matter what, the way, like, just kind of how the hole is. But you execute that shot, you've got a putt. As things turned out, you could have laid that putt up. At that point, though, stepping up to that putt, where was your head at? Have you been looking at the live scoring? Were you kind of tracking Calvin and the people behind you? Or were you just like, I'm putting this no matter what because I can make this putt every time?
Yeah, the putt was close enough to where I was like, I'm not going to miss this. I hit it pretty low, but it went in.
Yeah.
And everyone makes fun of my follow through because if you look at the video, By the time the
You could
disc
have
gets to the
jumped away from
basket,
it.
my hand's like behind my back, which is crazy. I don't even
Yeah.
know how that happens. Um, and yeah, at that point, I was checking scores. I know I could have laid it up, but I was like, "There's no point," because I also made
Yeah.
a joke like, "I want to have a good rated round. I'm not just gonna lose like eight
There you
rating
go.
points on one stupid layup, you know." Um,
True. Could be the difference.
yeah, so yeah, I wasn't gonna lay it up anyway. And if it was maybe 3 feet further, I probably would have laid it up just because I mean there is OB
Yeah.
by the green, but that's why I do like hole 18 is because it did add for a lot of exciting finishes. Like there was no way to lay it up, and if I did try to
Yeah.
lay it up, I'd still have like a 200-foot uphill approach with OB left and right, which I'm terrible at. So I thought I would be better from like 380 than I was 200. So I was like, just go
Yeah.
for it. I'd thrown it bad round one and round two with the same disc, turning it over too much, trying to err on the side of safety, and actually going OB one of the rounds just because I turned it too much, and the other round I got lucky to stay in bounds. So after round two, I wasn't happy because I had a chance to take the solo lead um, during the second round on hole 18 and turn it OB, bogeyed, kicked me off the lead card by a stroke just because I didn't have the hot round or whatever, how that works. So I went back through like 7 shots with different discs. I tried forehands, flippy backhands, stable backhands, fairway drivers, mids, putters, and that same mid I had been throwing worked out the best. And I just told myself to commit to it instead of being scared. So I just told Gavin I'm gonna walk up real quick, throw the shot. I probably only took 10, 15 seconds on it, and
Yeah.
just threw it confidently. Didn't think too much about it. Just use the cart path to my advantage because if I'm coming in on Anheuser, coming to the right, it's gonna hit worst case hit the path and still be in bounds, and I still just lay it for par. But I hit it perfect to where I put it circle one, and I was like, I'm just gonna make the putt anyway.
Yeah. I figured that was the case. It was close enough where I was like, I mean, you're not missing that putt
Yeah.
most of the time.
I mean,
So
I have to beat Andrew Marwin's circle one stats somehow.
that's also true. I mean,
That is-
here's the thing: 90% C1X for the tournament, and you were in 15th. I feel like that's pretty. It's getting pretty intense. Like you have to be almost perfect these days to lead the
Yeah,
field in putting.
yeah.
It's pretty
I
insane.
think the reason I won was my tee to green. I was number one in tee to green, which is not
Yeah.
not too common for me. I was getting up there at the end of last year where my driving got a lot better, and I there was a 3, 4, maybe 5 tournaments last year I was number one putting. So I just need to I was like number two putting at Waco. So I just if I can have both aspects of that, driving and putting, like
Yeah.
my goal this season is to get a dominant win. I want to get one of those like old wins where you win by 8 strokes.
Yeah.
Those just seem so fun, and I think they're definitely doable. I probably lost 7 strokes just on putting, like unreasonably. Like I was airballing putts OB this last tournament. Like my putting was so bad, it was so frustrating. Um, I ended up making it work the final round with changing my putting stroke up a little bit. Still not making everything I felt like I should, but I made most of my putts.
Okay. So you made an adjustment on your putting stroke mid tournament. Is that something you do often? If you
Yeah, I
is
do it all the
just
time.
kind of slight adjustments, or like what adjustment were you making?
Yeah, just like slight adjustments, whether it's just like coming down a different way, holding it a little bit different, changing my grip super slightly, changing
Yeah.
how I hold it before I putt, where I am aiming even.
Hmm.
My putt has got so nose down lately with that, which I'm not happy with. I wish it was a little bit flatter, but when I get nervous, it gets so nose down. So it like the disc is like flying like that towards the basket.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and it doesn't work well in wind. So like round one, I spin putted the whole round, super hard, and
Yeah.
it got me through the round. So
Well, speaking of putting, I wanted to talk about, people talk about the Gannon putt. I feel like it's become its own thing. I think you're probably the most famous chain outer on tour. You get more spit outs than anybody. I'm sure of it. I see some crazy ones. So my question is this, every time there, one happens, people talk about it. Some people say you putt too hard. Do you agree with them? Do you think you putt too hard? Or is it just a case of, putting as hard as you do is what makes all the putts anyways? Because you can't really argue with the fact that you are one of the best putters anyways. So does it really matter?
yeah, there's a couple things. So putting hard does result in more spit outs, and I know that myself, and I know like a lot of my like dead center spit outs. If I did put it a little bit softer, it probably would have stuck in. Um, Sometimes they don't though. Sometimes you see soft putter just come right back out. Um,
It's true.
but uh, but I mean, I definitely agree. Like my hard putt does spit out because it's hard. But at the same time, if I putt soft, I'm not going to even touch the chains. So I need to at least give it a chance. And spit outs probably only happen like depends on the baskets. If they're good baskets, we're moving away from like I know in my opinion, like we've put on veterans a decent bit in the past, and those hate
Yeah.
my putt. So,
Yeah.
but we don't play on those as much. We play more like the Chain Star Pros are probably I'd say the most fair basket. My favorite
Okay.
basket is the Mach X, just because it catches
Well, yeah.
hard putts. I mean, you
Those
don't.
things would catch a freight train.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't spit out on them. That's what I like.
Yeah.
When we're transitioning where you have to make these long putts, and you got to putt them pretty hard if you want to give them a good bid. But yeah, my philosophy is just spit outs are probably going to happen. You just got to accept them. But as long as I'm giving it a chance, if I putted soft, I probably wouldn't even give it a chance to make the putt. So as long as I'm just flipping the coin once it touches the basket, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. So part of your winnings at this event was a pretty sweet cowboy hat. And I know you said you were going to, or do you have it over there?
It's over there somewhere. It's in the room.
Okay. Now I know you said you were going to wear it to the next events, to Texas States. Are you actually going to wear it in round?
Well, that was the goal, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's sized correctly to my head. I have a
Right.
really
That's what I was wondering.
I have a super tiny head, like a tiny head. So
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna work. I really wish it
Not
would,
it.
but it's also like an expensive hat too. Like I don't want to
Okay.
I think it's gonna pour rain like 2/3 of the time anyway. It's like a
Oh, okay.
90% chance of thunderstorms the first day, and the
Dang.
third day is like 70% chance. So unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna work out. Maybe if we do like a putting challenge or
Yeah.
something
There you
extra,
go.
I'll do it. But
It's a pretty sweet hat. Is that like the coolest trophy you think you've gotten as far as like an extra thing like that?
it's definitely like the most interesting I've got. I'm a
Yeah.
fan of just like a simple like glass trophy with like a granite
Yeah.
base or something. Um, I don't know. It's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah. I it gives it some character,
Yeah.
having
It'll
something like that.
definitely be one to remember.
Was that legit like the only trophy? Was it just
Yeah,
the hat?
yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
Maybe it was
interesting.
like because like there's the belt on top too, which has like it says
Okay.
like I don't know. I think what does it say? It says like champion of the year or something on it. I don't know. It says
Oh,
like
interesting.
Open
Okay.
Austin champion of the year of the whole year or something stupid like that. But
Yeah, say interesting wording.
yeah,
Okay.
it was weird wording. I
Um,
probably didn't say it right, but
yeah. So with this win, you have now jumped to number 2 in the UDisc World Rankings, jumped over Mr. Macbeth. Now Ricky is the only one standing in your way, and currently he's not really playing. There's something to be said about the world ranking system and how it favors people that aren't playing. But would you consider yourself the best in the world right now? Do you think you could be deserving of that title?
no, I put myself top three though. I put Calvin above me for sure. Calvin's just
Okay.
been that's the same thing with like how the rankings works is like if you get a win, it really bumps up your ranking. Um, I'd say the ranking system is pretty accurate. Other than I think Calvin should be one. I think me and Paul, depending on the weekend, are interchangeable. And then Ricky, if he's on, I think is right around where Calvin's at. So I know
Yeah.
I think either way, if everyone's healthy, I'm top four ish. But I mean, if my driving and putting's on, I could be the best player in the world. But it
Yeah.
kind of just depends on the weekend. I mean, we all have on and off weeks, but I'd say
Sure.
Calvin's number one for sure right now. Until
Okay. Yeah.
maybe I win another one or he plays bad.
Yeah, yeah. Tough ask for Calvin to play bad right now. He's certainly been pretty solid so far this year. Tough
Well,
to
he seems
beat.
like he's like the best putter in the world too right now. He like it looks so easy. It seems like he doesn't miss. And then when I even like way back to the All Star event, he was just peppering everything. It didn't matter if it was 500 feet, 300 feet, even if it was a wide open hyzer, it was parked every single time, and it looked so easy too. It wasn't looking like it was like a shot that was unpredictable. It was just such a clean line. And I saw that right away, and then he went and won Las Vegas, and then I think he's got top three the other two times. He's just such
Yeah,
a solid player.
he is tough right now. So obviously, you've been in the news a lot this offseason for various reasons. One of the things that's been going on is this lawsuit that you've been dealing with. How has that been affecting you on the course? And just where are things at right now? Is that something that's been weighing on you? Obviously, you've been playing well. You just got the win. How have things been going with that?
Yeah, just working on getting a resolution between us. That way we can, however it ends up, to get it over with, and then I can focus on playing. I just want to play disc golf. That's my only goal. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, just it gets resolved pretty soon, and both parties can be okay with whatever happens.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's great that you've been able to play through it and still have success. And I think that was a lot of people's fear that that would weigh on you, but clearly it's been working, and you've been doing all right. So I want to talk a little bit back to putting. It was funny. I was just watching one of your putting tutorial videos earlier today from like a year ago, talking about putting, and I actually learned some interesting things. I learned right now I'm
It's
on a
like the worst video ever.
no, dude. Well,
I mean, no, like just like the way everything's like the lighting. There's no graphics at all. It's literally just on my iPhone.
it's old
One
school.
cut.
Well, I thought it was really funny. At one point, you like give all these tips and you missed a putt, and
Yeah.
then like you kind of like
I was like, screw it. I don't know how
pause,
to
like
cut that out.
yeah, you kind of paused like you were in a cut and you didn't. I thought that was great. It's genuine though.
I don't know how to
But
cut it
right
out.
now, right now, I'm on a putting journey. I'm like collecting putting advice, like Infinity Stones, like I'm Thanos or something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So, if you were to give me one tip to make me better at putting, what would it be?
So a lot of people exaggerate on making sure your follow through is like straight with the basket. Like
Yeah,
none of that matters unless when the disc is in your hand. If that's not in a straight line, the putt's not going to go in. Because I see a lot of players like they'll come down, they'll come around and out, and then they'll finish in the middle and they'll hold their follow through, but your disc is traveling like completely sideways. Even with my
yeah,
putt, if I was just to put my putt with my left leg a little bit more left, so it's more like square with the basket, then I'd have it would look like I'm coming straight down, but I mean just from the way it looks, I mean I'm coming pretty much straight down, and while it's in my hand, it's coming up in a straight line, and then the falter doesn't even matter at that point. I mean, it can be important. I feel like when my putts with a good falter, it feels a little bit easier, but at the same time, like I have like one of the worst falters on tour from anybody, and my putting stats would, I guess, say otherwise. But
yeah.
yeah, so just making sure it's in a straight line while it's in your hand, and the second it leaves your hand, nothing matters. So if it's
True.
traveling in a straight
Okay.
line between here and here, that's kind of what I think. I'm like, okay, straight line, boom. It's hard to get the power sometimes for a lot of people. That's what they struggle with, but that's my number one tip probably.
Okay. Yeah, that was the main thing I picked up on in your video, and I thought that was very interesting the way you were talking about kind of how the elbow interacts when you try to pull straight towards your kind of your center. I'm gonna have to take that to my putting consultant Robbie C and see what he says about it. Got to bring it to him. But I like that. You had me like walk out into our store and throw a putt.
Yeah.
Like I was inspired. So
The one other thing I can say too is like make sure you know where you're aiming. So like myself, I have an aiming point. I'm never aiming at the basket. I aim over the basket. So I'm not even
yeah,
yeah
that
I'm
was
not
another
even
thing I picked up on.
yeah not even putting at the basket. I'm picking I'm basically a hula hoop in the air, and as my putts got more nose down, I have to keep going up and up and up. Um, but I have like a little hula hoop, and I'm just trying to dive in the basket.
Yeah. I thought that was a good point because I mean, it is true that most people miss low more than anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's tough to miss high consistently, really. Okay, so I wanted to talk about, obviously you're part of the Alden Harris Vlog Squad, as I've dubbed it at this point. It hasn't been too hot of a start to the season for the squad, though, other than yourself. Right now, you're the only one in the squad, and I'm counting you, Alden, Isaac, Ezra, and Gavin. You're the only one with the top 20 right now. It seems
Really?
like there's a bit of you're the only one with the top 20. It seems
And
like there's
I only have one.
well, you got the win though, so you're out. You're out
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
You're out of the you're out of the
Hopefully that
hot
doesn't
water.
happen anymore. That's what I did last season too. Was like my two worst events were like other than Vegas, I had like Waco and Bellin that were like 25th and
Yeah,
24th, and then I did good other than that. So hopefully that goes away for me.
yeah. So my question is, is is this weighing on the guys, and then also who's going to be the one to break the curse? Who's going to get the first top 20?
I'm gonna say Isaac is gonna get the first top 20,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna have to go Alden, then Gavin.
Okay.
They're right here, so they can hear
Well,
everything.
what about I'm throwing Ezra into that as
Ezra's gonna
well
go.
because he's actually had maybe you
Yeah,
could argue one of the better starts.
Yeah, Ezra, I put because I think he got like 24th at Waco. Um,
Yeah, he did.
I put Ezra like with between like where Gavin's at probably.
Okay.
But I mean, at the
Okay.
same time, like if there's a major, Gavin's probably gonna win. So
Okay.
that's how that works. He
It is true.
basically
He's a
yeah,
major player.
he's a
He is
major
a
player.
major player. Yeah, for
So
sure.
we got Champions Cup
Um,
coming up.
well, are you guys actually all registered for that? I know half the
Yeah,
field
that's
isn't.
crazy.
So
I can't believe. I wonder what they're gonna do because
I
there's
know
James Conrad, Kevin Jones, Garrett
there's a lot of
Gerthy,
guys.
Ezra Aderhold, like Aaron Gossage. Like there's so many people that aren't playing. Which, but then there's a couple people under 800 rated, which is or under 900,
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. That shouldn't be a thing.
right. Well, I saw it on
Oh,
Twitter last
100,000.
night, and I kind of was looking at it, and I didn't really know like all the background to it, so I kind of just quote tweeted and was like, "Well, this will be interesting to see what happens," because like surely that's not going to stand, but like, what do they do? It's a mess. It's an
Well, I don't
absolute
understand why
mess.
there's only 100 spots. I don't like if you add 1,000 more spots, the top players are still going to perform. Like there's no point. I don't. And
Yeah.
there's enough. I mean, I'm sure there's enough daylight. Like most tournaments have like 150, 125 at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're certainly got to find a creative solution, so I'll be looking forward to seeing how that works. But glad to know you guys are all responsible gentlemen and got into the
Well, I don't
Champions
even know
Cup.
how I got in. I think my mom signed me up.
Well, there you go. You had somebody looking out for you.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, this is actually concerning Alden, is the ace debate, the great ace debate that was posted a little while back. Does he still stand by that take?
Yeah. In Georgia, they play really dumb rules. I
Okay,
don't understand. He's been
like
saying it for so long.
let me clarify this, and if for those of you who are listening and haven't heard of this, he was saying that an ace does not count unless there's an ace pot.
But then he also said it doesn't count unless it's during a round.
And what defines a round?
One shot per hole, I think. I don't know,
Okay.
because he said if you play a round and you play like 5 holes and you like let's say hole one you threw 4 shots and then for the rest of the round you only threw one shot. It doesn't count because you threw 3 extras on one.
Okay, but what about I guess I can understand like the precedent of being like if there's multiple shots thrown, then that takes a little pressure off. But okay, what about if you're just playing a casual round with your buddy, but it's a one shot understanding the whole round, and there's no ace pot? Does that count as an ace?
Wait, say it again.
So like if you're just playing, like if you and I went out and we were playing around and it was very much understood that you and I are playing one shot, it's not a practice round,
Oh,
but there's no ace pot, does that count?
I don't know, Alden. If me and Trevor go out and play a round and we only throw one shot and we make a hole, we make in the basket from the tee pad in the basket, does that count as an ace? He said, yes, of course.
Well, I think he just started his take out a little bit too rocky on that stream because like
Because like one time I went to a course and they saying this isn't an ace. First shot out of the car from the tee pad, dead center, ding, count it. And I threw like 4 more shots just because I was bored. And he says it doesn't count as an ace because I threw extras.
so you had to finish out the 18 holes single shot for it to count as an ace to get registered as an ace in the Alden and Harris book.
According to him, because he's weird. Apparently that's a Georgia thing. I don't know.
So at that point, how many actual aces does Alden have? Is the question.
Oh, and how many aces do you actually have? He doesn't know.
Too many to keep track of, or he
I
just
have
can't.
I have 4 aces that I count as aces, which is tee to basket.
You only have 4 total.
My first one was at Skins last year.
That's right. I did. That's
Yeah.
right. I did remember. That is so crazy. What is that about? Like, why are there guys walking around like local leagues with 20 aces? Do they just play easy courses?
Well,
I think.
no, I don't know. I do this. I play the same courses. My home courses. Every hole's like 250,
Yeah.
like pretty wide open. And I've never aced them. The only one I've aced is like a 300-foot one, and
Well,
that was my third ace ever. And 2 of my aces were joke aces that I. So I'll just go through my aces. The first ace I have was at Blue Ribbon Pines for the Skins match. Walk off last hole, last shot.
That was sick.
That was sick. That was my first ace. My second ace was at Pro Tour Finals. They definitely don't count this as an ace. We were for Prodigy. We were filming the Air Spectrum promo, and I had an X3, a lightweight X3, and we were throwing from the FPO pad, hole one at the Pro Tour Finals last year, and I drained it. It's like 300 feet.
It's tee to basket. It's tee to basket.
First shot on the hole.
Yeah.
So they're saying it's not an
Sounds
ace.
good.
And my third ace was at my home course with another Air Spectrum disc just jacking around.
Dang.
An Air Spectrum D1 on like a 290-foot hole. I just drained it like low line hyzer flip. It was so sick. And my last ace was at Vista del Camino, which I got on video. It was crazy. It was the first video of the day. I'm like, hey, can you film this? And then put it in. It was sick.
I saw that one as well. I think I think some people just like have the ace knack. Like some people just throw it. There is something to be said though. Like a lot of times an ace is a bad shot. So maybe that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, I'll
it's weird
say
though,
this.
'cause-
A lot of times an ace isn't the perfect shot. Let's just say that.
yeah, like I feel like a lot of times like AMs say that because if they go to like 30 feet, they're not going to make the putt. We're going to make the putt.
Right. Well, I would change this statement to like a lot of times an ace is a good shot, but not a great shot.
Yeah,
'Cause a lot of times
yeah.
the great shot lands under the basket. So
Yeah.
that's fair. But you're right. There is a lot of people like myself that'd be like, well, if that hadn't hit the basket, I was missing the putt.
I don't understand Eldon sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of times he just does stuff to make me so angry.
Well, maybe that's what it is then. Maybe he's just trying to get under your skin. He doesn't even believe the ace take. He just wants to believe it for your sake, for spite. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you. The last thing I wanted to do, I wanted to get power rankings. I always like to get power rankings. I want top 3 power rankings, places to eat while on the road.
I'm the worst person to ask this question.
No, you're the best person to ask, I think, because I think
Oh
your
my
answers will be actually good.
Well, I'm going to go right now. Underrated IHOP as number 1.
Yes, that's a great answer.
I'm going to go IHOP number 1. Number 2, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Okay.
Mainly because I have free Chick-fil-A. I'll just say that.
Whoa.
Yeah. So every time we go, I'm just go boys, and then like free meal.
Any further details on that, or is that
No,
confidential?
that's very confidential.
Okay, I understand.
It's awesome though. I
That's
love
all.
it. I love it. And then the final one. What do we eat a lot? What do I eat? Okay. No. I'm gonna go with like a Freddy's or a Culver's.
Culver's is good.
Do you have Freddy's over there?
I don't have Freddy. I don't know what Freddy's is.
Is
it like Culver's?
It's Culver's. Just like Freddy's has better fries than Culver's, but Culver's has better burgers. Freddy's has better
Okay.
cheese curds,
Oh,
and the ice cream at Freddy's is different than Culver's. So
yeah. Well, Culver's does those cement mixers.
yeah,
They're pretty
those are good.
intense.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty even on both of them, but those are my top
That
three
was
probably.
That was a good list. That's the kind of list I wanted. See, I didn't want to ask somebody that was going to name some restaurant nobody's heard of, like
Yeah.
in some like hole in the wall. I wanted to know IHOP. Like, let's be honest.
And the
you know, that's what we're
Walmart's
eating
kind
on
of
the road.
go to for store
Yeah, of course.
or
That makes
HEB
sense.
in Texas. HEB for sure.
What is HEB?
I've never heard of it before. It looked like a stupid store, and it's just the best store. It's just basically just like a Texas Walmart is all it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. I wonder if Brody's heard of that. I'm sure he has. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. That's all I've got for you. So Texas State's coming up. Can we get a win guarantee?
No,
Can any of the other
No.
guys give a win guarantee?
but we're gonna
Are they
try.
one-
We're gonna try to go
Okay.
Alden Harris Vlog Squad lead card.
That would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, Gannon. Well, I'll let you go. It was great hearing from you. I'm rooting for you this year. It was an awesome win at Austin, and we're hoping to see some more out of you coming up.
Yep, that's the goal. Thanks.
All right. Thanks again to Gannon for joining the show. Always good hearing from Gannon. I'm sure he'll be on the show more in the future as he continues to dominate out there on the tour. Other than that, we will see you next week with another episode. I'll see you then.